Well, it is Matt, and I'm excited to be joined on Zoom this afternoon by Nick Reese from the band Joyous Wolf. And first off, Nick, thanks for taking some time. Appreciate you taking a little bit of your afternoon to talk.
Oh man, it's an arduous process, sir. I'm so angry that I'm losing this time. No, I'm not doing it. So this is fun for me. So
I've had the chance to talk to both up and coming bands, established bands about their experiences during the pandemic. And I've got to imagine that the last year and a half has been particularly difficult for you guys. You sign your major label deal back in 2018. Things start to happen 2019, 2020. And as the wheels start rolling, you start hearing your song on the radio, you start picking up these big tours, everything gets shut down. Did you guys feel kind of helpless at some point where you're like, oh man, we finally get to this point and now we've got to kind of stop everything?
well, I mean, not entirely. We definitely took a hit, like everybody did. And we had a couple of months where we hated ourselves and whatnot. But um, I think for us, it was different. We were grinding a lot on the road, and we had just come off a crazy touring year. Like we played 120 shows in like 6 months in 2019, and that was a tremendous effort on our part. And we were getting ready to, start recording more music and do stuff like that. So it was different because we weren't on the charts, we weren't doing stuff like that, we were just grinding, and losing that grind was difficult, coming off that lifestyle and suddenly being having to be stuck in one place really for quite a bit of time. That was difficult, but it was actually a good thing for us in the long run because it helped us reevaluate a lot. It gave me time to figure out what I wanted to be and what I didn't want to be. And I took the time that I had and I pretty much relearned how to sing. And because I'm never very satisfied with the things I have. I want to continue to push it. And that gave me a lot of time and reflection to be like, I can be better. I want to be better. And that was, I think, a universal feeling, and when we all did come back together about midway through last year, there was a lot to unpack, and the album that we have finished and that's being mixed right now, and obviously the new track Fearless, they would have never happened had we not had that time, because prior to that we were just go 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 go. So I think in retrospect, it was a really good thing that happened to us ultimately, because while it did, everything shut down and everything was what it was, we did have those moments to kind of reevaluate and become a better band. So
when you say you relearned how to sing and wanted to be better, what do you mean exactly? Because I mean, I know there are front men who have changed their style over the years, and I mean, you're still, the band's been around for a few years, but still, early on in your career. What do you mean when you say you relearned how to sing?
I was singing correctly. If you listen to our original releases, and now and then you listen to the newest track Fearless, there's this, I think people have pointed it out to me enough at this point to where I know I'm not just blowing smoke. Yeah, there's a change, and there was a wonderful person named Melissa Cross who I started taking lessons with at the very end of 2019. And I was like, you know what, I have nothing but time, and I took a couple more with her, and she was great. She evaluated my weaknesses and my strengths, and she just, she broke it down scientifically, and from there she just kind of left it to me. And I'm kind of a workaholic, and I hate sitting around not doing anything. So that just kind of became my goal. And I was like, I want to be able to do anything. I want to be able to sing anything, and I want to feel stronger. I want to feel more confident, and I want to figure out who I am. Because up until that point, I felt like I was, channeling other people that some recommended I should, or I thought I needed to, and I wasn't entirely sure. I'm like, who am I yet? And I think on the latest stuff, like Fearless being the first taste, I feel like that's the first time I've been myself on a recording, and it's really invigorating, and it makes me very proud and satisfied in a way that I haven't before.
How does it feel now going back to listen to that old stuff and hear the early recordings and how much you've grown, even just through the pandemic with those changes you've made?
I think it's like it's therapeutic in a way, because it reminds me that I'm continuing to grow. Like if I felt like I stalled, then I think I would just call it. If I felt like I couldn't take it any further, then I would have to kind of change something, but it just makes me want to keep going.
So things have made their way back to normal a little bit for you guys recently. You were able to hit the road, play some shows with Dirty Honey. Do you happen to know how long it was between your last show and then the first show you played back? Do you have like an exact number of days?
Yeah, I remember it was actually really similar to the break that Dirty Honey had. We both kind of stopped like right at the end of the road there. I think it was like 430 days or something.
So how did it feel then to get back out there for the first time in 400 plus days? Because you guys have you've built your reputation on your live shows, and you specifically, I mean, the whole band too, but people know that when they go to see Joyous Wolf, I mean, they're going to see a show. Your live show is something to be seen. So how did it feel to get out there after being stuck at home and not playing for 400 days outside of doing the live stream?
It was, I'll never forget it. It was in Tempe, Arizona, that first show with Dirty, and which, by the way, that tour with them was the most fun I've ever had. And bless them. I love those guys. But that first show, I remember like thinking like halfway through, like, oh, I need to scale it back a little bit. Like I can't, because I had to, because we had it'd been a minute since I had, done my full show, and I can't really practice my full show like in our practice space. I'd knock some stuff over and whatever. But no, we all just kind of exploded, and that was the feeling. I think the crowd felt it too, because for the crowd, it was also their first time back for a lot of those people, and there was a beautiful sense of like, oh, I remember I made some remarks about it at some point during the show where I was just like, never take any of this for granted. It just reminded me, I'm like, I'm so lucky to do this, and I'm so happy that I still get to,
As I was prepping the interview, I go through YouTube and find other interviews that you've done and find other videos you guys have done. And I found this video from a couple of years ago where you guys were doing a tour of your bus, which is a van that you guys were rolling around town in.
It was.
I was going to say, my question is, do you still have that, or have you upgraded since then? And have you upgraded your Tool CD collection yet?
That's legend. That's such a legendary joke. The Tool CD. We do still own it. We still use it for things, but no, we have since moved on. We actually did our last run like in an RV for the first time. Like we kind of moved up. We went to Sprinter vans, and then we got the RV, and I think we're just continuing to go up that chain, and it's pretty good. It's nice being able to pee, without stopping somewhere. You can, and that's good for me because I drink like 2 gallons of water a day, so it's it's definitely on the up and up. But as far as the Tool CDs, we actually did, I do remember like later on that year, we stopped at a Barnes and Noble, and I think Robert went and bought like the entire collection.
Okay, good.
And we replaced it. I love that how Lateralis was stuck. Melted inside because it was out in the sun, and it melted on the dashboard, which is one of the, I don't know, those are good times, man. I think it's funny. I remember those times so vividly, like the van times, like when we first got started, we didn't even have a trailer for the van. And I had to sleep a couple of nights in the crawl space, in the passenger seat, because we only had so much space, and we had another guy with us. So someone would sleep, reclined in the driver's seat, and then I slept, like this in the, eating peanut butter sandwiches. I remember we went to New York on that first run, and like we had never toured before, and we finally get to New York, and our agent's there, and we had been eating nothing but peanut butter sandwiches, and he's like, "You guys want to get some sushi or something?" And we're like, "Yeah." The best sushi I ever had, man.
I don't think people realize like there's this idea of what the road life is like, and you see it in movies, and they've got the buses and the girls, and then I saw that van story, and I was like, this is what it is. This is what bands need to see. Like when we have bands come to the studio and they got the Sprinter van and they've decked it out to where they can fit bunks in there. But I mean, for you guys at the time, you just want to get out there and play shows. You'll do whatever it takes. So you'll cram yourself.
We were very much like, we will do whatever we need to do. Like I remember we put our credit cards down, bought that van. We did that within like a 2-week period, and we were out in the world. We had never done any kind of driving like that before, and it was just, I mean, it's a good memory because it was the beginning of us really setting out into the world. And that was a great first run, man. We did our second show ever outside the state of California was Louder Than Life, which we are returning to in the next couple of weeks, which is great. And that'll feel very like full circle moment for us, because now Fearless doing what it's doing and makes us happy. And first top 40, woo!
It's pretty awesome.
A big deal. It's a big deal for a couple of idiots from who wanted to play a music that no one liked. And yeah, no, we played. So first show we did was Sonic Boom Festival, JJO's thing they used to do. And then we did Louder Than Life. And then a week after that, we did Rock Allegiance. And then we ended a couple weeks later at Aftershock in Sacramento in California, which was a big deal because, everyone knew about that festival. And if you liked rock music and metal music, that was the place to go every year, So that was our first run ever. And, because of that Aftershock show, that's what got us our record deal with Roadrunner, was that set we played at. It was the most California show ever. We're playing underneath the 5 freeway, in the state capitol. It was, you couldn't have gotten more SoCal than playing underneath the 5 freeway.
I think the first time that I saw you guys was one of those Danny Wimmer shows. It was Rock on the Range. And every year that I go, there's always 3 or 4 bands that people are like, you got to go see. Like I remember distinctly Biffy Clyro, the year they played, they were like everybody, because Biffy Clyro overseas is gigantic and headlines festivals, and they're huge, and they're playing early on. And I remember the show that you guys played. It was early, second stage, right outside the media tent. And I think you were, I don't remember if that was the year that Tom Morello was there too. It may have been. But you guys were the only band that I went out, like got out of the media tent on that stage, was like, okay, I got to make a point to go see Joyous Wolf because I know these guys. From what I've heard, the show is electric. And it was walking out of that media tent, just seeing you guys on stage playing to, the crowd wasn't quite there yet, but it was a smaller crowd than maybe others played to. But it didn't matter. I mean, that was a surprising set, actually, because, when we first got there, we were the second band up and there was no one out on the tarmac. And we went up there and suddenly we had an ocean of people. And we have that photo, and it's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite show memories. I remember that was the first time that Roadrunner was there to see us, and it was cool. It was like and then we also saw Tool. Yeah, right.
Which was, we saw Tool then, and I actually got to be side stage for Tool at Northern Invasion like the week before. My tour manager somehow, some way, finagled me back there, and it was just Chancellor's bass tech, and Alice in Chains. And Maynard, again, who's always in the back, you never see him, walks over. It's a true story. Walks over and fist bumps all of them, and then goes, and it was one of and I was sitting there and I looked over at Daniel, who was our TM at the time, and I was like, did that just happen? Did we just do that? And it was pretty amazing. I mean, those festivals are always crazy. I've met so many of my heroes, and they've all been so good to me, and it's a beautiful thing.
Do you feel like at those festivals, like you just played Upheaval here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, not too long ago, do you feel like at those festivals, when you have those bands on the bill that you've looked up to for years, do you feel obligated? Do you feel like a sense of like, I need to go out there and do even more today than I normally would, or no?
Well, every single show I'm a competitive person, and I come from a sports background, and so when I look at it like sports, and some people like that, some people not so much, but I never cared who was going on after us. I was always like, this is my show. This is my stage, for this next 30 minutes or however long, this is my stage. That's how I treat it.
So I mentioned the reputation you guys have built with your live shows. You just talked about like the sportsmanship, the sort of, this is my stage, this is my time to shine. What is it about performing live that sort of brings that out of you?
I think I love to perform. I love to get reactions out of people. And there have been plenty of times where they're negative ones. But I don't really care if it's either or. I think especially earlier, and now it's a little different, but in the early times, it was all about just getting people to remember us. And I would do anything. I would, climb 6 stories high up on trusses and hang by my feet. And I would get thrown out of festivals, and I would, do crazy stuff at venues, like climb up near the ceiling fans and like almost get clipped, and or jump into the crowd and do, back and front flips and the splits. And, I still do a lot of that stuff. And I'll plan on doing it until I can't. I plan on whenever my body's like, all right, that's it. That's when I'll stop doing it. But I don't know. I think I just loved, these people came here, they paid good money and they're here, and I want to give it everything every time. I want to make sure that I give them their money's worth, and I want to give them a show. And that's kind of that old James Brown school of thought where it's like, you go up there and you work hard. That's your job. That's your, it's like, I'm not a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar business, but this is my job. This is my passion. And I don't know. I love to entertain. I love to put on something that people will remember and can talk about, that night at the bar, or 10 years from now, I saw this guy, he was insane, like I saw this band, they were great. That's, I don't know. They bring it out of me. If the crowd is good, the better the crowd is, the better I'll be.
I remember watching videos and growing up seeing like old videos of David Lee Roth and Freddie Mercury and those frontmen that commanded the stage. And, working in this industry, I've seen a lot of bands over the years, and there are a lot of really, really, and I don't want to say who they are, but there are bands that are very, very boring live. And when I go see these shows, like, man, people paid money to see this band and they're just standing there. Like, what happened to the show? People always take digs at like Nickelback, but you go see a Nickelback show and you can make fun of them all you want. It's still pyro. It's still video. It's still the experience of a rock show. I mean, Chad Kroger's not doing the sorts of things you do, but it still feels that way. And I think some of that has been lost over the years of like being a frontman, of like being a showman and putting on a show. Some bands just go up and play and that's it. And you guys go above and beyond that. And it's not just you, it's the whole band.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been our MO since the very first time we went on stage, that like here, in SoCal. That was always our dig. It's like, this is our chance. Let's go for it. This is our shot. We never take it for granted. We just we hit it. I don't think we have another speed. we just, especially for myself, like I don't care if the crowd is super into it or not. I'm like, I'm going to get you there. We opened for Deep Purple, and those crowds were extremely difficult. Every night I felt like I was going to war, trying to get those people just to acknowledge that we did a good job. And that was kind of my like whole thing, because it was a sitting audience, and I was like, you're going to stand for me. You're going to stand for me. It's like that one, it's like that one comedy special with, what's his name? Anyways, he goes up there and he's just like, the crowd's super rowdy and crazy. And right in the beginning, he's like, I'm not scared of you. And then continues to rattle off. Like, it's kind of like that. It's like, I'm not afraid of you. Like I don't care if you are not here to see me. I don't care if you're into Slayer's your favorite band, or, or something. And like, you think what I'm doing is like weak or whatever. I'm like, you're going to respect us after the show. You're going to give us what we deserve, because I'm going to work so hard. I don't care if you don't like the music. You're going to commend us for the performance. You're gonna give us that golf clap.
Well, I hope that people have the chance when you get back out playing shows again, doing these festival shows. Hopefully, people will have the chance to see you. And I know you're going to be touring a lot the next year or two because you do have a new album. You posted on Facebook back in June that the album is done. Where are we in terms of a possible release date? Are you still waiting for things to sort of open up a bit more, calm down a bit before releasing it so you can tour completely in support of it? Because I know that's what a lot of bands have sort of waited for.
Yeah, I think first quarter of next year, you'll definitely see it.
Fearless is the first single. You mentioned it a couple of times. And I think the story behind the song is interesting because it's the only song you didn't complete before you started the album session. And now it's the first single. And I know with Dirty Honey, I talked to those guys, and California Dreamin' was a song that was sort of at the end of the recording. They wrote this song, and that ended up being the one they go, no, this is the song. What is it about Fearless that when you guys finished it, even though you had all these other songs done, what was it about Fearless that you thought, you know what, this might be the one?
I think we were actually having a lot of trouble picking a single, which I think is a really good problem to have. Fearless just seemed like a great warm up, and that's what I keep telling people. This is just the warm up. Hold on to your hats, people, because we busted our butts, and it's going to show. You know, we write the songs ourselves, we do the work ourselves, and we put in the time, and we slaved over this record, and we're super proud of it. And you know, we're still finishing the mixes for it, but it's I've actually got to hear it like all together like the other day. Like I played it all the things I have of it so far, and I played it all back to back, and I feel extremely proud, and I can't wait for everyone to hear it. And you know, we've already played a lot of the new music live, and on the Dirty Honey tour, and the reception to it was really great. I mean, people, you know, learning words to songs like just from YouTube videos and stuff and singing it with us live. That's pretty great. It's a pretty awesome feeling. And Fearless, again, is our first song to really go for it. And it's number 37 today. And I woke up to that, and that's what's better than that. You know, that's for, you know, I attend a couple of guys from SoCal who just wanted to make some loud music, you know, and hope that someone will want to play it. I mean, that you really can't put it into words. It made me think about everything. It made me think about our little journey we've had, and it's beautiful, a beautiful thing.
With this being your first full length with Roadrunner, did you guys have like a certain set of goals in mind when you begin writing, you begin recording an album like this? Let's make sure we do this. Let's not do that. Let's stay away from this. Let's not be this band. I'm always curious, you know, if bands sort of have goals going into it, if it's like an organic, like, let's just see what happens. I know that you guys all write together. It's not I write the words, he writes the whatever. You guys all do this collectively, but I'm curious if you guys go in with like goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah. I mean, we all have our corners, you know, we'll cross over into each other's lanes and whatever sometimes. And that's just how that's how our synergy works when we write. But what was something really special was that our goal was just to write the best songs that we could. That was it. You know, we didn't care. I mean, we want to do everything and anything. We don't care if as one song sounds like it's sung around a campfire and the other song sounds like it's a bomb going off. You know, it doesn't necessarily matter. We're that kind of band. We want to be able to cross into anything and everything. And if it sounds good and it feels good, then it's good, right?
I think there's been this sort of pigeonholing of if you're going to be a rock band, you have to be a rock band. You have to be this certain genre, and that's all you can do. And it's interesting to start to see there's more sort of genre fluidity with a rock band can have a song that's maybe leaning a little more country. A country band can put out a song that has more of a, you know, whatever sort of a rap feel or whatever. It's nice to know that bands are starting to kind of go, you know what, let's just write songs that we think sound good. Let's have fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's very much what we are. I mean, our early roots, you know, are everywhere between the four of us. So the sky's the limit. And on this record, there's a lot of diversity when it comes to sound and depth of sound. And again, Jay Rustin, our producer, helped us achieve our vision. And it's the beginning of what we are, of Joyous Wolf. Anything before, I really don't think was the full picture, but I think, starting with Fearless and going into the rest of the record, like, you're gonna see who we are, and you're gonna see who I am, and who Blake is, and who Rob is, and who Greg is, as players and as artists. And I'm you know I'm proud to say that I can say that we made a piece of art, and that's what I always hoped we could achieve. And if I died tomorrow and that was the last thing left, I'd be all right with that, because I'm that proud of it.
Obviously, touring in support of the album is a big part of probably the next year or two, and some bands tour on albums for 3 and 4 years. What can you tell me about the future for Joyous Wolf? I know you've got the festival, you've got Louder Than Life. I'm sure you've got some other shows lined up. Can you talk about some of the other stuff you've got going on? Because I assume that there'll be some announcements soon.
Yeah, we're going to have a fall tour. It's still being put together, so there'll be announcements for that soon. We got a lot planned for 2022. A lot more, Joyous Wolf shows, which would be really cool. Headlining Joyous Wolf shows, and we'll be kicking around over to you guys at some point in the near future, I think. And we're playing all the European festivals, rock festivals next year, which third time's the charm. Third time's the charm being put on these bills. So let's hope so, because that was the one thing we've since day one. If there was ever a goal in mind, we're like, God, we want to play in Europe. So that's hopefully that goal comes to fruition, and people stay safe out there, and we continue to make progress and moving forward and all of that, and the world turns a little faster. But yeah, it's just a lot more of that. And as far as that, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we had another record done next year, like at the way that our output is and the way and our thoughts are. It really just depends. If we tour ourselves into oblivion, then perhaps not. But I think this record's going to have a lot of legs to stand on. And I think, and then it'll also, people who are new to that will be introduced to some of the stuff we've done before. And, it's becoming a pretty cool little family of songs, under our name. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. And more singles. There'll be more singles before the record comes out, and people get some more tastes of, what we're going to be doing. And so this is all really cool,
Looking forward to hearing more. Looking forward to hearing the entire album, seeing you guys out on the road. Having seen you a couple of times. I mean, as I've mentioned multiple times, Joyous Wolf show is a show you want to get out and go see. So looking forward to seeing you guys hopefully coming, closer to the mid-Michigan area, Flint, the Machine Shop. I'm sure you guys have rolled into there or may roll into there here at some point. The Machine Shop, a legendary venue. I've got one last question. I've been sitting on this for probably, it's got to be a couple of years now. And I do this thing, and I think a lot of people do when they see like a movie or a television show where they recognize the actor from something, and then they go to IMDb and they search and find out, oh, that's where I know him from or whatever. There was a couple of years ago a Verizon commercial, and you already know where this is headed. There was a Verizon commercial with a guy and his dad, and the gentleman mentions, I'm in a band. And as a curious person, I'm like, okay, I feel like I've seen that guy before. And I start Googling and discover that the guy in the commercial is Blake from Joyous Wolf.
Yes, it is. Yes, it was. and that is his father, Chris.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And my question is, do you guys get like free data or anything out of that? Do you get to do you get any sort of,
maybe he did. Maybe
okay.
He did. No, that was very random. That was a very random thing that just kind of fell out of the sky. And it was very much, he was in the right place at the right time. And it all kind of corresponded with us being on the road. So, and it's funny, like, we were in places like in Canada or the country where it doesn't even air on television. It only, but you can get ads for it online or whatever. And, people in the middle of nowhere, like outside of shopping centers in the middle of Canada being like, you're the guy from the Verizon, so that was pretty funny. It was, I remember it's a great story about that. We were at Route 20, this venue called Route 20. It's in Wisconsin with Buck Cherry in 2019. And and they're all talking about it. They're all like talking about, how did you get, we saw you in that commercial. And this is one of those sports bars, that have like 10,000 TVs all set to the same channel. And yeah. I shit you not, it all in that moment, we're all talking about the commercial. All the TVs flip onto the commercial, and Blake's face is all over the place. And we're all laughing and losing our minds. The timing, like that's one memory that sticks in. So many people were asking about it, like online and whatever, that we had Josh Todd from Buck Cherry. We're like, Josh, would you tell them? And he's like, I can confirm that we had him do it, which was pretty funny. No, yeah, that was a really weird time. That was a weird thing that happened.
It was one of those things that as I'm watching TV, I'm like, I wonder what, I just assumed it was an actor. I didn't think I'd get anywhere in this Google search. And then it popped up and I go, well, holy crap. Like, I've seen that guy play. Like, this all makes sense. He is a real guy. And I know I've seen him before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time, man. It's been awesome to talk to you. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys back out on the road here very, very soon, and excited to hear. I love the song Fearless. Excited to play it on Z93.
Thank you.
Excited to see you guys out again soon and hear the entire album, because I'm sure the full album, from what you've described, is going to be awesome.
I think you're going to love it, man. I think everyone's going to really have a good time with it. And thank you so much for playing the song. It means everything to the boys and I. Again, for dumbasses from SoCal, we thank you.
Well, I thank you guys, and we'll see you out on the road real soon.
See you then, man. Thanks so much.